Three, two, one. Yo, what happening, boys? It's your boy Force Blackman 7 here, and today is going to be a tutorial video. It's going to be about game plans. Now, I know a lot of you guys do not utilize this enough. Some people do, some people don't. But I'm going to tell you guys how game plans work. There are different sort of defensive styles and offensive styles that goes along with the game plan that you want to use. And this gives you a little bit of a disclaimer. You need to find the tactics. Custom tactics doesn't mean you're going to win every single game. You can't just copy someone else's tactic and expect to have instant success. You need to play your tactics first and find the tactic that works well for you. And yes, that is my main tip when you're very new to using game plans. So we're gonna go through every defensive style right here. We're gonna start off with balance. So balance means a balanced style when your team presses the ball in the middle of the pitch and your team shape is neutral. That means it says it on the tin. Sometimes you'll press, sometimes you'll drop back, but it's gonna be very balanced. You're not gonna get caught out that easily. We're gonna go with drop back. I think you guys know what this means. Your strikers will stay passive, and you may find yourself having less attacking options when you have the ball. So this is when you want to keep a lead, really. Like Jose Mourinho, you have a 1-goal lead, you want to defend the lead. I recommend using drop back. However, guys, you're giving your opponent more possession, and you will have less attacking options when you win the ball. There may not be any options going forward. Let's go with press on heavy touch. This is most Atletico Madrid does this. Your team preserves their shape until the opportunity to presser appears. Presser when the opposition takes a heavy touch is a loose ball or controlling a difficult pass facing their own goal. So I'm going to try and explain this to you guys. So your opponent is passing around the back, and then his player takes a really bad touch for like 6 to 7 seconds. Your opponent will start, your players will just come and literally crowd them up. They will try and pressure them, make them feel very uncomfortable, and then boom, you have less options. This can be very risky though. It will impact some stamina though. That's where you need some good players like a Conte or like a incredible team to able to do this. Press on heavy touch. Pressure after possession loss. This is like Manchester City's game style. Your team loses possession of the ball, and they will press for the ball for 7 seconds. This will affect player fatigue, and your players could be out of possession if you don't win the ball during this time. I feel like with this one, it's very risky, especially when playing online. If your opponent is able to counter this, then you could leave yourself very vulnerable. I recommend using this tactic when you're losing, and with like only 15 minutes left to go, then I'll recommend using this one. And then a constant presser, you guys know, this is when you're losing and you need to like go all out attacking. This tactic will put a high pressure opposite opponents on the pitch. This may leave your team very vulnerable, and they'll become increasingly fatigued, and they'll be pushed out of position. So therefore, guys, if you're using this tactic, I recommend using this with only 10 minutes left to go. Do not start using this at the first whistle to 90 minutes. It's impossible. Okay, your players will just not able to keep that pressure up. So if anything, we're going to go balance. The width, very self-explanatory. If you go too low, about like say 3, then you're going to be very hard to get past. That means your opponent will have a hard time playing in the middle of the pitch. But however, your opponent will be able to counter that and go down the wings. And if you go about 8, you'll be able to cover the wings very easily. However, you leave in the middle very open. So for me, I recommend you keep this around 5. You're not too narrow, you're not too wide. Good balance. The depth is the same thing, guys. Like let's say if you want to go 3, you're leaving space in front of you. You'll be able to defend the through balls. However, you're going to give your opponent more time and more space for long shots or more possession. So you want to keep that in mind, and go too high, then you'll be able to put a high pressure. You'll be able to put your pressure on your opponent very easily, but you're leaving space behind for like through balls. Yeah, you don't want that, especially at the start of the game. You want to keep it nice and balanced. I'll go with 5 or 4. Those are my recommendations. Offensive style, very easy. Balance, says as it is. Players will support and make runs when they think it's the right time to do so. So they're not going to always make fast attacks. Sometimes they'll play slow, sometimes play quick. Long balls, you get long ball. This tactic is quite good though. The team will make runs for long balls in space behind for opposition back lines or up to a target man. Strikers are fast or in good attacking positioning attribute are the best tactics. So this one is like fast build up. Long balls like fast build up, because your players will start running like crazy when you get the ball. They'll like sprint and look for that quick route one football, Sam Allardyce football. Remember those days when he just have his team to play one long ball and then you're through. Fast build up. Again, this tactic pushes players forward for fast build up. But if you lose possession of the ball, you will find yourself open for a counter attack. So I recommend using this tactic when in the last like 10 minutes of the game. Do not start using it at the start, otherwise you're going to be conceding goals. You're going to get countered over and over again. The last one is possession. Players will support more rather than going for forward runs. This strengthens their short passing game, but your team, you will take longer to build up. So therefore, guys, I recommend using this one when you're winning very comfortably. Then you can start using this tactic. I will recommend using it at the start of the game because it can be a bit too slow. That's just my opinion. So for this one, guys, I recommend going with balance. The width, same as the width and the depth for defensive style. If you go about 3, meaning that your players will be more players in the middle of the pass for short passing options. However, they won't be able to go down the wings. And here's the thing, guys, the wings will be open when you lose possession, so you want to be careful with that. And let's go about 8, meaning that the width, meaning that your offensive team will push out wide towards the sidelines. You will have more passing options out wide. However, guys, you're going to find yourself a hard time making passes in the middle of the pitch because there are not going to be many people in the middle of the pitch. So you want to try and keep it as balanced as possible. I recommend going with 5. Reason being is because you have a mix of short and long passing options. Players in the box, just the same as just the same as I believe the width, right? Players in the box. So if you go about 8, when crossing in the crossing zone, ask your players to make lots of runs in the box. This could affect the numbers in the box, but could leave you vulnerable for a counter. So if you go high on this option right here, you got players in the box, so you got more crossing options. However, you're gonna leave yourself a very vulnerable counter attack. If you go too low, like about 3, your team will have less players in the box for a more pace and attacking style. They'll stay outside the box. However, this can be a bad thing because they'll rarely make forward runs for crossing opportunities. So again, I would recommend going with 4 or 5 for that one. Corners and free kicks are the same. So corners, if you go too high, it means that you're going to have more players in the box for corners. However, you're going to be very vulnerable for a counter attack. If you go too low, then you're going to be more defensive orientated. However, when it comes to crossing, you're going to have less players in the box, and you're just going to have less players outside the box. Free kicks, again, high means that more players for you to cross in for a free kick. However, you're going to be leaving yourself very vulnerable for a counter attack, and go to low means you're not going to have much options in the box at all. So yeah, that is me explaining game plans. Hopefully that was well explained. I tried try and explain to the best of my ability. Hopefully I helped you guys out, and I promise try to tell you in better detail what each setting does. Hopefully you can apply these into your game and win some matches. Take care. Goodbye.